This is the new 2021 Ford Mustang Mach E, and this is the premium edition with the E all-wheel drive and the extended range motor, meaning this thing actually has a chance of competing with the Tesla Model Y. Starting on the interior of the Mach E, like every electric vehicle has, this Mach E has tons of legroom and headroom. I have plenty of room to stretch out, and if you're the passenger of this vehicle, you have even more. Along with having the mass amounts of headroom above you, if you look up, you also have a not twin panel, it's just one solid piece of glass stretching from the back of the car all the way to the end of the back seats. Next thing I want to talk about is the elephant in the room, is the massive center screen. This thing rivals the size of what Tesla Model 3s and Tesla Model Ys have in them. And I'm almost positive it's the same size of the one in the Tesla Model X and the Tesla Model S. This thing is massive and sticks out like a sore thumb. When there were focus groups conducted on how the volume should be controlled for the Mach E, people wanted an actual dial. So Ford literally attached a dial onto the center screen, and that is the only button that's on this screen. Now, if you have the center screen on, when you do press it, there is a little power button that pops on the screen in the middle of that dial. This dial is literally tacked on, and it's kind of like how your finger interacts with the screen too. The dial interacts the same way your finger does with the touchscreen. And this touchscreen, literally, it runs Sync 4, and anything that the car can do or has in it is controlled through this. Yes, there's the center gauge cluster, but that's more for displaying your automatic cruise control, your speeds, your battery percentage, and your range. That's really the only thing the gauge cluster can do. The center screen really has everything, whether it be your radio, climate control, all that great stuff. Even your drive modes are within the center screen. And I will go over Sync 4 in the Mach E later on in this video. It's pretty cool, it's pretty in-depth, and it's a great operating system, and it perfectly fits this car. The version of Sync 4 on this car is specific to the Mach E. Yes, there are other versions of Sync 4, and they mostly look like the last generation Sync 3, but the Mach E's Sync 4, it looks completely different than something you'll find in an F-150. Again, I said the gauge cluster is mainly focused on showing your range, your speed, and your cruise control, and your adaptive lane keep assist and everything like that. That's really what it's for. It's not that massive, and there's not much else other than that in it, which is nice because I don't need to see everything that the center screen can show me in the gauge cluster. But everything I need to know in the moment is definitely in the center gauge cluster, which is very nice. Right under the center gauge cluster on the steering column, there is this little black bar. That bar is actually for Ford's upcoming self-driving features. Right now, this does have adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, and everything like that. Later on, in a couple of months, Ford is supposed to be releasing their full self-driving. The only thing this self-driving is not going to be able to do is lane change in cities and on highways. Instead of having to keep your hands on the steering wheel at all time, it'll actually track your eyes like the system in Cadillac, where you do not have to have your hands on the wheel. All you have to do is look forward, and if the sensor sees that your eyes are still on the road, you'll be able to have the self-driving features on without having your hands on the steering wheel. Everything else in this car is pretty standard for Ford. Your gear selector down here is just a turn dial like they have in most new Ford models. It used to be a column shifter on old Ford models. It was never a column shifter in the Mach E, but you do get the little spin wheel that has park, reverse, neutral, drive, and low mode just in case you're going up a hill. The door handles in this car, not very typical in what you'll see a car. It's more like a little lever that you just pull open and the door opens. Feels like a mechanical door handle still, but it just looks a little different and is very specific to the Mach E. The next thing I want to talk about is the Bang & Olufsen sound system. Now, this is unlike any other sound system you've seen in a car from Ford. It literally has a sound bar stretching the entire dashboard. And when I mean the entire dashboard, I mean the entire dashboard. And along with that, you do have speakers on the doors, front and back. And it's in this nice material that isn't just a plastic shroud with little holes in it. This thing is pretty cool, and it's pretty high-end looking. Right under that, you do have carbon fiber weaving that goes across. It's not real carbon fiber, but it looks cool. And since this car is the Mach E Premium with the extended range battery and dual motor on it, which is all-wheel drive basically, it does have a sporty aspect, so the carbon fiber helps bring that out. You do have Ford's HomeLink garage opener in this car as well, which is pretty nice. I personally don't like carrying around a Bluetooth garage door opener just because they can be rattly and noisy and annoying. If we go ahead and fire up the car, that is the sound you get anytime you start the car up. The gauge cluster is pretty simple. It just shows what gear you're in, how fast you're going, your cruise control, your range, your direction, and that's about it. Oh, and the odometer reading, of course. Moving on to the center screen, you'll see that your climate controls are right down here at the bottom. You have your heated seats accessible to you, which it's a sliding thing. Personally, I would have rather had it as something you just click and it shows up the lights, but you click on it and it's kind of like a dial that you can move up and down. It also has automatic seat heating, which is pretty nice. You have your heated steering wheel, and then you have your fan speed right down here, and then you have your volume knob with the volume power button in the middle, and then you have your window defrosters, your rear window defrosters, and then the passenger seat for the heating. You also have your dual zone climate control, temperature knobs right above that, your automatic climate control level, and then you have your window defroster and everything like that. And this is basically your climate control center right here where you're really going to be controlling everything. Yes, it is dual zone. The rear seats do have their own climate control vents, which is pretty nice. Going up here, you'll see that the Mach E, you have a little picture of the Mach E up here. This is where you can access your drive modes, your cameras, your parking sensors, your valet modes, driver assistance, and everything like that. Engage is going to be your normal mode in the Mach E. That's just going to be for normal driving. Whisper is quiet mode. Think of it kind of like an eco mode. And Unbridled is your sport mode. You have your options like one pedal drive, audio ambient light selection, which is pretty cool, and then you have your propulsion sounding. And you can come over here into settings and you can change all your sound settings, and then you have your phone list where you can add and unadd phones for Apple CarPlay or just for Bluetooth audio. Your charging features right here, which it also shows your battery life and your range. Your personal profiles, which if you get the Ford Pass app, you can actually set up driving profiles for the Mach E. You can actually do everything from the Ford Pass app for the Mach E. You can lock and unlock the cars, open the rear trunk, and you can even roll down the windows from the Ford Pass app. All your driver assistance features. Cruise control, you can change it from intelligent to adaptive to normal. Intelligent is pretty cool. When I was driving up here with intelligent cruise control on, it was pretty nice. It kept you in lane, and even when you don't have cruise control on, the lane keeping assist does really well at keeping you in the lane. You also have your pre-collision assist, auto hold, which I personally like, rear brake assist, cross traffic alert, all the normal things you'll find. Moving into your vehicle settings, this is where you have your My Key rear occupant alert, which can get annoying, and that's on a lot of new cars. Your automatic power liftgate, your ambient lighting, which is really cool, and you can actually control the high beam, automatic high beams, daytime running lights, and welcome lighting. Auto fold mirrors, auto lock, and go through all your settings in here, and you can even change your speedometer reading. The digital gauge cluster and everything like that, you should be able to change what kind of measurements your car's read in. You have your general settings and everything like that, your tire pressure. This is basically where you're going to change your units, your temperature reading, kind of your licensing, your sync, all just that type of stuff. You go to your display. This is pretty cool. You can change the type of screen you want, which is this is the comm screen. You have your vehicle hotspot, connectivity, clock, system updates. This has over-the-air updates, voice control, and ambient lighting. This car does have ambient lighting, which is nice. Leaving the Mach E settings, you click on the 6 dots sitting right here. You have driver profiles, your radio. You even have your owner's manual, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and it's pretty plug and play. When you plug an iPhone into this, automatically asks if you want to sync Apple CarPlay up. You just hit yes on your phone and yes on Sync 4, and it is almost instantaneous. So that's basically the center screen and everything it can do. It's a little more in depth than that, but it has some really cool features that not a lot of the other Ford models have, and it just looks different than something like the F-150, which is the only other car with Sync 4 right now is the F-150, but it's a little more in depth. It's a lot nicer looking, in my opinion, than what the F-150 has, but that's because the F-150 has more buttons than this does, so it doesn't have to have the climate control within the infotainment system, which it's not supposed to. Fake climate vents and real climate vents stretching across the entire thing under the Bang & Olufsen soundbar, which is nice. There's plenty of airflow in this car, so even on a hot day, you're going to get a good amount of air conditioning. Down here, you have a wireless charging pad plus other places to put all your belongings. And if you come down here even farther, you have even more. The steering wheel is pretty nice. You have your volume control, skip and back. You have your automatic cruise control settings and your lane keep assist setting. And then you have your center console, which really isn't a center console. This is more of an armrest, and under it you actually have a sliding door that you can slide open and shut. Right now I can't shut it because it's charging one of the GoPros. And it's a pretty good look. It makes everything seem like it's floating. It's very airy and it's pretty cool to look at. But yeah, the interior of this car is very nice. Ford did a great job manufacturing an interior that is very open feeling, that feels futuristic, and really fits something that is supposed to rival the Tesla Model Y and the Tesla Model 3. This car definitely does that really well. Moving on to the exterior of the Mach E. This Mach E Premium is spec'd with the rapid red paint color that goes on the outside. And let me tell you what, in the sun, well, this is in the shade right now, but if you go to this side of the car, in the sun, this really is a beautiful paint color, and it looks really good, and it really fits this car. The taillights are clearly inspired by the original Mustang. And then if you come over to the side, you even have the Mustang emblem, except it's a little different. It's got these ribbed little things on it. That is not on the normal Mustang, but that one is on the Mach E. And you have the new LED headlights. Now these things are really cool looking, in my opinion. They look a lot better than the headlights on the actual Mustang. But they do fit the fact that this car is electric. And you come over here, you have another one of those Mustang logos, but it has those ribs on it, as I was talking about before, same one on the back. And as you see, this has no grille because it is an electric car, and because electric cars don't need grills. But surprisingly, you know, Tesla used to have the fake grille in the front where it just that big black piece. I hated that. Ford managed to make this car look really good in the front. Even though, you know, it's missing a grille, it still does look really good and sharp. Come down here, these are the 19-inch wheels you get on the premium trim of the Mach E. It looks really great. And right here is where you have your charge port. And on the inside, it says horsepower because you're plugging it in to get horsepower. Yes, I don't know which one of Ford's comedians came up with that, but that is, yep, that, you know what that is. All right, this is the charging port. This is a pretty standard charging port across the EV industry. Other than Tesla, you cannot charge this at a Tesla EV station, but you can charge this at every other EV station other than a Tesla. When you're done with it, you just press this button and pull, and it comes out, and it's as easy as shutting it. And it's like a normal gas cap where you just push in to let it out and push in to push it back in. You come down here and you see the Mach E 4X. The 4 stands for clearly the four-wheel drive. The sloped roofline on this car, I believe, does this car's service. It is a crossover, but to be honest with you, it looks more like one of the coupe SUVs you see. In fact, it kind of has the lines of a Jaguar I-Pace. If you kind of imagine it, the Jaguar I-Pace sort of looks like this. I like how sloped the rear back window is. It looks really good, and I think it makes this thing look a lot sportier than it really is. If you come over here, you'll see something a little odd on the doors is the fact that this thing does not have door handles. And you might be saying, well, how do you open the door then? Well, the back door is pretty simple. Press the button on the back and it opens the door, just as so. Now, you might also be saying, well, there's no door handle. What are you supposed to do? Just hold your hand in there. You pull it open. Now, as you just heard electronic sound, let me show you what that is. Okay, so let's say you open the door and you go to shut it again. You actually can't. There is a kickstand that comes out on this car when the doors are first opened because Ford didn't want you being able to stick your hands back here and literally be able to push your hands into the door because they don't want you to get your hands hurt. So basically, you have to open it again, the kickstand goes away, and then you can shut it. And the same thing on the front doors. If the front doors do have a little handle to help you pull open everything, just press the button and you can pull it. And just like the original one, or just like the back door, it has a kickstand that pops out. That way you cannot smash your hands in the door. But overall, guys, the exterior of the Mach E looks really good. As you just heard, it auto locks because if you get far enough away from the car without being in it, it does auto lock. This has been the Mach E. It looks really good, really sporty for being a crossover SUV. I think it really fits the Mustang name when it comes to the sportiness behind it. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment below. Tell me what you guys think of the look of the Mach E. I feel like the last time I drove this car, I was a little harsh on it, and I've had a chance to drive it some more, and I think I've changed my opinion. Again, this Mach E, this specific one, has the 88 kilowatt hour battery, all-wheel drive, 346 horsepower, and 428 pound-feet of torque. Right now, I have it in unbridled mode, which is basically its sport mode. And I'm on a twisty road up in the mountains driving this thing. And I will say, I do like it. I think it handles very well. The center of gravity for this thing is only 1.2 inches higher than a normal Mustang, which explains why it handles so well. I take back what I said about the steering being numb in the last video I made about this, because once you put it into unbridled mode, it does liven up. And for this being a crossover, I do think it's a little low for being a crossover, but that only helps it in the performance area because it's still a Mustang and they've managed to make it sporty. Now, in unbridled mode, what you have is this, it's not one pedal drive, but it's like it slows you decently down. And that's kind of to simulate your engine still revving at a high speed, especially when you downshift, and it kind of like engine braking and everything like that, but it just simulates that. That's my only pet peeve. I'm not necessarily a fan of that, but this thing gets going, and that's all I have to say about it. It steers great, it handles great, it gets around corners very well, and I don't feel much body roll. Like when I really put my foot into it, this thing just takes off. Even when it's already at high speeds, you still get access to that torque, and it helps you go. I mean, this thing doesn't run out of juice. I will say about 85, 90 miles an hour is where this thing starts to run out of breath. But up until then, which you don't really need to be going that fast on any kind of road, up until then, I mean, it has some pep. Going around these bends and everything, it's fun to drive this thing. And this one, yes, is the all-wheel drive version and has a decent amount of horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. And that's not too terribly fast. I mean, off the line, it's going to be EcoBoost. But off the line, if the GT has the performance pack and that 10-speed, it's not going to beat a GT off the line. Even though this has instant access to torque, that one just, with everything that it has, the differential and the suspension on the Mustang GT with the GT performance pack is just, that's a different kind of car. This thing, yeah, I mean, it gets around these corners very well and very easily without much body roll, and you're not scared to drive it kind of fanatically. Man, are these twisty roads fun. I mean, I just can't believe this is an EV, and this is what electric vehicles have come to. It's not a Chevy Bolt. This is a Mustang. Now, I'm not going to put my 2 cents in like I did last time about whether this is a Mustang or not. It's going to always be a debate, but I think it handles like one. That's for sure, and it has the speed of one. Maybe not, this isn't the GT, but this thing is crazy. Like, it's not at all what I thought before when I first drove it. But now that I'm on kind of empty and curvy roads, I can sort of see where the performance appeal is behind this. And to be honest with you, I like having the gauge cluster. The new Teslas, the 3 and the Y, don't have it, and I don't understand it at all. Ford did right by putting a gauge cluster in here. That I don't have to look over here and take my eyes off the road. I just have to peer down for 2 seconds and see my speed. The amount of performance you're going to be able to get out of this thing is just crazy. And that's why it's called a Mustang. Though Ford did call it a Mustang because the Mustang name is so strong. But not because of anything else. The Mustang name is strong, and it gave this car more presence and more uniqueness. And that's why they gave the Mach E the Mustang name. Which I will say, the horse on the steering wheel looks pretty cool. Not gonna lie. This is a map of all the EV charging stations that work with the Mach E around Las Vegas, where this video is being filmed. Though the Mach E doesn't have as much of a range as most gas vehicles, there are still plenty of EV charging stations that will allow you to charge your car. So what does this all mean for the Mach E? It means the Mach E is one of the first real contenders against the Tesla Model Y, and against other electric brands as a whole. The only thing the Mach E lacks is decent range, only being at max 300 miles to a charge versus Tesla's 350. I personally believe the Mach E has great technology, great quality of materials, better than Tesla's, and a good price for what you get. Ford is going to be releasing self-driving soon. That makes it so you do not have to put your hands on the steering wheel, which will be a great upgrade to small amounts of self-driving the Mach E currently presents. If you liked this video, please consider commenting, liking, and subscribing, and I will see you all in the next video.